In this video, we're going to draw our fill tank schematic symbol. In the next assignment, we will actually draw a hydraulic print for our fill tank. But now we're just going to draw the electrical circuit for our fill tank. So what we're going to do, we're going to use our stop-start circuit that we made in the previous lab, and we're just going to edit this. We're going to really add to it to make our fill tank circuit. So the first thing I want to do here, because I don't want us to lose our start-stop drawing, I don't want to save over it. So I want to do a file, save as, and then I want you to call this our fill tank drawing. Let's see how I can type this in. Look at that. You see me type that in? Man, I'm getting good. So this is our fill tank drawing now. And you notice that it says fill tank instead of a start-stop. So we still have our start-stop drawing saved, and now we have this as a fill tank. So the way our fill tank is going to operate is that we must have our start-stop button pushed first before the fill tank will operate. So we're going to zoom in and we're going to show you how to draw this circuit. So we're going to bring our line that we made in our previous drawing, and we're going to copy this because it keeps our spacing right. And then we started this drawing on line 3, so we're going to come down and start our next line on line 9. So go to the corner of line 9, and that's where we're going to start our new line. Now we're going to start with our CR1. So if we just highlight our CR1 and the comments, then we don't have to write them anymore. So we'll just do a copy and then click on the end of that and bring that down. So now we have our CR1 in there already. And then again, we're going to just copy this line. It's a lot easier. Copy and paste makes our life really easy. So we'll copy and paste this down. And again, that should keep our spacing pretty close to the same. We may have to modify that just a little bit. Our control relay is a little larger than our stop circuit, but we will modify that as we go. So our fill tank is going to work very similar to our start-stop circuit. The only difference is instead of push buttons, we're going to let the liquid in the tank control the operation of the tank. So we're going to start actually a motor with this. So this is a control relay. In this line, we're actually going to turn on a motor starter that will actually start the motor of our pump. But we're going to have to put in a float switch here. Now, if you look in our blocks, we do not have a float switch in our blocks that are already made. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify our push button into a float switch. So we're going to click on our push button. We're going to bring it down here out in the middle of space somewhere. And we are in the construction layer, so we need to get out of the construction layer and go to the object layer. And we want to make this an object. So we're going to highlight that and put it into object. So that's how we move objects from one layer to the next. We just highlight it and then click that object. So now our push button is in the object layer. So to modify this again, we're going to zoom in so we can see it a little better. The first thing we want to do is explode this as we've done in the past. And sometimes it takes us 2 times to do it for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why we have to do it twice, but on my particular drawings, you have to do it twice. So this is going to have our stuff set up for us already in here. So we will use these 2 circuits, and I'll show you what a float switch looks like if you don't know. What I want to do, I want to go back to the layers. I want to go in the construction layer. I do want to draw just a few construction lines. We're going to draw a line from the center of our circuit to the edge, and then we'll do the same thing with the other circle. We'll go from the center of the circle to the edge of a circle, so we will know kind of where the edge. So we're going to add just a few more construction lines here. We're going to go to the top side, same way we did the other one, and do the same thing on our other circle. So we will be able to just kind of know where the intersections of our circles are. So now we're going to take our line that's existing up here and we're just going to move it from the end, and we're going to come down to the end of our construction line that we just made. So to make our float switch, we need to rotate this. So we're going to click on the line. We're going to click on our rotate button here. We're going to rotate it from this endpoint, and then we're going to move it down to the end of our second line. So this will be how our float switch is kind of going to look, especially the normally closed. We'll make the normally open look a little different, but this is the way we're going to do the normally closed. We're going to shrink this line to there. So this will be the way our line looks. I'm going to escape out of that. I'm going to delete this line. I would like to use a different one. So we're going to go back into our object layer now. We're going to draw a line from the middle of our switch. So we'll just click on our line, and we're going to come down here and type in mid. So it'll do the midpoint of our line that we just drew. Now we're going to come down 0.2, and that should give us about the right spacing of our line. So what I like to do, the float switch just has a circle on the end of it. So we're just going to copy one of the circles that we already have. We're going to go from the end of our line and move it down there. And that will be our normally closed float switch. So I want to make one more construction line here. So we'll go back to the construction line, instructions layer, and then we'll create a line. I want to come from the center of our circle. I just want to come out somewhere out here, and I do want to trim this line so it is at the edge of our circle. So that way whenever we do our base of our block, it will be at this point and we won't have the other line. So now we need to delete our construction lines that we made originally, so we don't want them in our block. We will have to go back to our object layer, so that whenever we make the box block, it will be in an object layer. So then we'll just select the float switch itself and not the construction line. We'll come up here to create a block. And then I want to do NC and then float and then SW for switch. So that will be our float switch. And then we're going to select the end of our line, and that will be a block for our, and we notice on it, it will make the block. So while we're here, I will show you how to do the normally open, which is really easy from here. We're going to do another construction line, just one more construction line. We're going to go for the center, and we're going to go down to the edge, and then we're going to explode this. So just type in explode, and then it should allow us to highlight the individual parts. So we just want to select the activator part, and we're going to move this, and we're going to move it from this end down to this line, and that will just simply be our normally open contacts. So I do want to delete that construction line. We'll go back into our objects layer, and this will be our block for our normally open float switch. So again, we'll highlight the whole thing, including the circle, and then we'll create a block, and then this is going to be an NO for normally open float switch. And then we should be able to use our construction line for where we are going to make that. So that's how we're going to make our blocks for our float switch, the normally open and the normally closed. So to finish our drawing up here, we'll zoom out just a little bit, and then we should be able to go to insert and insert our normally closed float switch that we just made. Click that and draw that down there and put that in our circuit. Take our line from one side. We're going to copy this. We're going to move it from one end to the other. And then we will take our normally open float switch that we have here. Just click on our square and move it up there. And then we're going to delete our construction. Oops, sorry. You got to make sure that you're only highlighting the construction line. So we're going to delete our construction line. And and then we're going to take our control relay and just the control relay, and then we're going to we're going to copy it. And I want to copy it the same way we did our original line. I want to go from the top of 3 down here to the top of 9. And that will put us in line with all the rest of our circuit. And then we'll draw a line from the control switch to our float switch that we just made, and that will be the most of our circuit. we have to do one more. We have to do our hold in here as well. So we're going to copy our hold in up here. We're going to copy the endpoint of this line, and then we're going to type in mid again, and we're going to put that in the middle of our lines down here, and that should be in the correct orientation. I'm going to change this. Instead of CR1 now, this is going to be ILM-S1 for motor starter 1. And that will make this ILM-S1 as well. So that's going to be our motor starter now. I do want to move this down just a little bit. So I'm going to type in move. I'm going to click out here and drag it down just a little bit so it's a little centered in between these two lines. And then I want you to fill in. So this is going to be float switch 1. You can just call it FLSW1, FLSW2. We need to move our comments down, so we're just going to select our comments, and then we're going to copy, and then we're going to copy this from the end of this line to the end of this line, and then escape. And this is, instead of the control relay, this is going to be our pump motor starter. So we'll just type in pump and pump. And then it's going to be just MS for motor starter. And we are going to put some spaces to get this on the bottom line. So now this is not 1/6 anymore. This is going to be 1/11 because we're 3 spaces down. So the contacts of this is going to be used on MS 112. That's close to 11. It's going to be MS 112. So let's change this to MS 112. So this will be our fill tank drawing. You had to put in your 2 labels there, and of course you had to fill in the box, which probably should already be filled in if you use your start-stop circuit. I will ask you to change the date if you didn't do it on a different date, and you will have to change the name of it as well as changing the date. And then save it as fill tank, which it should already be saved as fill tank, and then submit it in Blackboard.